15 seconds.
In Pit Lane is proudly brought to you by the Australian Sports Sedan Association and the Grunt Performance Victorian Sports Sedan Championship.
Good evening and welcome to In Pit Lane, and don't adjust your sets, I'm clearly not Brett Ramsey to start off with. Tonight on the show we'll be previewing Nyora Raceway's race meeting this weekend, and before then we'll have Marcus Reddercliffe on from the Nyora Raceway Committee. Before then, just a word about our wonderful supporters who make it possible to bring you In Pit Lane every week. The Australian Sports Sedan Association of Victoria have been great supporters of In Pit Lane, and the Sports Sedans will be back in action for round 3 of the Grunt Performance Victorian Sports Sedan Championship at Winton on June 16 and 17. Winton is one of the best tracks you can go for spectators in Australia. You can see the whole track from most of the spectator areas, and if you want to make a weekend of it, the region has some of the state's best wineries and restaurants. There's a big field expected with several new cars set to debut, so for the best sports sedan racing in the country and a great weekend of motorsport, head to Winton on June 16 and 17. And In Pit Lane and RMI TV Student Television would like to thank the Australian Sports Sedan Association of Victoria for their support of In Pit Lane. And now we're going to throw to the news to hear about everything that happened in the last 7 days.
It's official. Nissan Australia have confirmed that they'll be pulling out of the Australian Supercars Championship at the end of 2018. In a short media release from the company, lacking in any great detail, Nissan Australia's Managing Director, Stephen Lester, said, Nissan has decided to exit the Supercars Championship in order to concentrate on the interests and needs of our current and future customers. We have obviously been talking to the Kellys for some time, and making the announcement now suits both parties. I'd like to thank Todd and Rick Kelly, Michael Caruso, Simona Di Silvestro and everyone at Nissan Motorsport for all of their hard work in the time that Nissan Australia has been involved in supercars. I'd also like to thank Nissan Motorsport fans. We truly appreciate your support and will continue to work hard to achieve the best possible results over the course of the season. For his part, Todd Kelly confirmed that the team would continue racing the Ultimas in 2019, despite the factory pullout.
We've got an amazing facility here and an amazing group of people behind us, and a car that is now pretty quick and very competitive at a lot of the rounds that we've been to so far this year. So we're really looking forward to building on that. It's going to be business as usual for the remainder of this year, and it'll be these cars that we'll be racing next year as well. Our capabilities here at the facility are probably one of the best in the country, so we're all really looking forward to what the future can bring.
The news of Nissan's withdrawal is hardly a huge shock, but the timing comes only days after new Supercars CEO Sean Seamer said that the return of Ford had sparked increased manufacturer interest in the series. Australia's Will Power has returned to the winners list with a victory in last weekend's Grand Prix of Indy on the Indianapolis Speedway road course. Starting from pole, Power had a race-long battle with Indy Series rookie Robert Wickens before taking the lead on lap 51. Power's victory gave Roger Penske his 200th Indycar Champ Car win. It was an Antipodean 1-2 as Scott Dixon made his way past Wickens late in the race to take second place.
It's amazing. It just shows what sort of team Penske is, and it's a real honour to drive for Roger, and we give him the equipment week in, week out to win, so I can't thank him enough for the opportunity he's given me, and Verizon as well. It's been a real fantastic 10 years.
Lewis Hamilton has extended his lead in the World Formula One Drivers' Championship with a dominant performance in the Spanish Grand Prix. Hamilton started from pole and was never really challenged, leading home his teammate Valtteri Bottas for a Silver Arrows 1-2. Max Verstappen managed not to crash into anything or anyone this week and was rewarded with a strong third place ahead of the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel. Verstappen's teammate Dan Ricciardo had a frustrating weekend. Despite setting the fastest lap of the race, Ricciardo lacked any consistency and could do no better than 5th place. He'll no doubt be hoping for better things when the teams head to Monaco for the famous Grand Prix on May 27th. A second consecutive win to Kevin Harvick in the latest round of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup at Kansas Speedway. Harvick led early, taking the lead from Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch. Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez lit up the night sky after coming together on lap 238. Kyle Larson then briefly took the lead, but Harvick went past him again on lap 244. Larson was then collected by Blaney 4 laps later. The big one came the following lap when 7 cars came together after William Byron got loose under Boyer in turn 4. At the restart, Martin Truex Jr. took the lead, but Harvick chased him down to grab the lead on the final lap. Challenging conditions for competitors, officials and fans at the Nurburgring 24 hours last weekend. The Manthey Porsche 911 GT3 survived the elements to take the win from the 2 Black Falcon Mercedes AMG GT3s, who finished 2nd and 3rd respectively.
Yeah, shame about the Nissans leaving Supercars. It's quite disappointing to hear, and we'll take a break on Channel 31. Yeah, we're going to have to redo what I just did, but this is Marcus Redcliffe, everyone, from the Nyora Speedway Committee. We're going to introduce you a little bit later on, but we're going to have a little bit of a chat in the meantime. So you race standard saloons?
Yeah, just started, just bought a new car, raced at last meeting and had a pretty good run.
So what made you change from the modified sedans to the standard saloons?
Affordability. It's expensive to do a modified production. You've got to travel around the country. Standards is nice and local, and it's good fun.
Yeah, so to the people at home that don't know, what is a standard saloon?
Basically a standard car with a cage in the middle, standard tyres, single pegger diff, yeah, all the safety stuff's, all the same as normal car, just no cage in front or back.
Awesome. We'll come back to you in a minute. Are you cutting me down at the break? So, sorry about this, everyone. This is my first show, obviously, and I'm still learning all the processes that Brett goes through every single week. It shows how professional he is. So, just a word about our wonderful supporters who make it possible to bring you in Pit Lane every single week. The Australian Sports Sedan Association of Victoria have been great supporters of In Pit Lane, and the Sports Sedans will be back in action for round 3 of the Grunt Performance Victorian Sports Sedan Series, Sports Sedan Championship, at Winton on June 16th and 17th. Winton is one of the best tracks for spectators in Australia. You can see the whole track from most of the spectator areas. And if you want to make a weekend of it, the region has some of the state's best wineries and restaurants. There's a big field expected with several new cars set to debut. So for the best sports sedan racing in the country and a great weekend of motorsport, head to Winton on June 16 and 17. And In Pit Lane and RMI TV, Student Television would like to thank the Australian Sports Sedan Association of Victoria for the support of In Pit Lane. Apologies, I read that in the wrong spot, so I had to do it then. So are we coming back to 31? All right. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Do you want to do that again? Right. Welcome back to In Pit Lane, and we're joined by Nyora committee member Marcus Redcliffe, who's come in to talk about Nyora Raceway this weekend.
Thanks, Jack. How you going, mate?
Yeah, not bad. So basically, what is this weekend? This is your biggest race meet in the year, is it?
Yeah, this is a big show for us. We're calling it the big one. We've got 90 plus cars expected, a range of classes: wingless, sports sedans, standard saloons. We've got the works. We've got the Sherlow's used cars demolition derby. That's a big one as well. Fireworks from Peninsula Fireworks, and we've also got a car drop from 40 foot from Gow's Mobile Cranes. It's looking like a cracker meeting.
Yeah, so you mentioned the demolition derby, and that immediately pricks the ears of everyone, I think, watching at home. So what are the rules? Are there rules? What cars can you use?
Pretty much any car you like, no four-wheel drives. Obviously got the safety, the cage, you've got to have your race suit, your helmets, neck braces, that sort of thing. Pretty much we count you down from 10, and it's last man standing will take the win.
So what does the winner get?
At this stage, I think there's a bit of prize money up, first and second and third, so we like to keep it a bit interesting. We've got 20 demolition derby cars coming along, so it's going to be one of the biggest ones in the country that I know of.
Yeah, so with the car drop, how does that work?
Well, we got a crane, we hook him on to the chain. We take him up 45 feet, and we've got a special jig that we pull it, and it drops to the ground.
That sounds awesome. So, apart from that, it's just normal race meeting as usual. You've got, what classes have you got on?
Yeah, just a normal race meeting. Got 30 plus wingless sprints, sports sedans. We've got GP midgets as well. They're back again with a strong field of 15. Standard saloons, they're there in numbers. Ladies, standards, juniors, we've got everything there. It's going to be one of the best meetings. Plenty of food, souvenirs, there's heaps to go around.
That's awesome. And so we're starting an hour earlier for people who don't know?
Yeah, yep, starting at 4 p.m. this time just because of the big car count. We don't want to have too late of a night for everyone. So yeah, that's our plan, 4 p.m. start.
Especially with some of the young kids as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So what sort of crowd numbers do you guys normally get?
Well, we're sort of this one we're expecting anywhere from 1,000 onwards. Our average is about 500 a meeting, but this is going to be the biggest one, and it's one you're not going to want to miss.
So basically, get there early to get a seat on the hill.
Get there early to get a seat and a park.
And a park. So, is it a feature for any of the other classes, or?
No, it's just our normal meeting. Wingless, they always put on a good show, so they're always there. They're pretty well a feature event themselves. GP midgets, I know it's their Gippsland Classic, so yeah, there's lots happening.
So, for those people that don't know, where is Nyora located? How long does it take to get there from the city, or?
It's about an hour's drive from the city. It's pretty local. It's down near sort of Lang Lang Way out there. Nice little area, easy to find.
Yeah. So, talk about some of the classes in your motor racing with standard saloons. What made you join standard saloons and go racing in the first place?
Well, the Victorian title's at Nyora next year, 2-day meeting, Labor Day weekend. So I thought, well, why not buy a standard and try my luck at the number one?
So before that, you were racing modifieds. How'd you get into that? Like what?
Always wanted to have a go at it, and a car popped up, and I got some good help from Ramsdale Wreckers, sponsors. Miles Mechanical, they helped me out a lot. Motor Recyclers, just all the sponsors helped me big time to get into that class.
You didn't race before then? You were just a commentator?
Yeah, just a commentator at Nyora, as you know.
Yeah,
so I just like to do that, as I'll be doing this weekend and having a bit of a race as well, so it's going to be good fun.
So you're going to jump in the standard and do just the final?
Yeah, I might just do one heat in the final and just see if I can come from the back to the front.
So what sort of numbers are you expecting in standard saloons this weekend?
I think we've got 15 nominated for standard saloons, which is a really good field considering we're running against a few other tracks around the place. So yeah, they seem to get more and more numbers and more cars travelling from different states and tracks and everywhere like that, so it's good.
So standard saloons are sort of class that you'd recommend to people at home to sort of join in and get in Speedway because it's sort of on the lower end of the budget side of things?
It's a perfect class to get into. It's easy to get into. It's cheap. You can get a car for a couple of grand. Get all your gear. You could be out there for $5 grand or less if you really wanted to.
Well, I've been around standard saloons my whole life, so I sort of know, a bit about them. And thing I notice is that it's sort of grassroots motorsport. Like everyone will help each other out. If you have a radiator and someone pops one, they'll lend it to you. That's what.
Yeah,
makes it good.
that's right. Everyone's willing to give a helping hand if they've got the spares to help, and you just return the favour in the long run.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It really is that grassroots. So, with your standard, you obviously bought a very good car, and you came out and you won your first heat. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was wrapped with that first time in the car. It's definitely different to a modified, and yeah, to win that heat was awesome.
And the only guy that you lost to that night was the guy who built your car. So.
Yeah, Mark Miles. Yeah, he was the only one that beat me. He should have let me win, but that's racing.
Yeah. So, with Nyora this weekend, what sort of wingless drivers are you expecting?
We've got a fair few. I think we've got Johnny Rotherham down there. I think the Logues are coming down. They've been around for a long time. They're coming from Morwell. We've got drivers just coming left, right and centre. There's, it's going to be a big one for them. And we've got the ladies out there too. They mix it with the men, and they're definitely ones to watch as well.
The wingless is growing as a category, isn't it? Like they've sort of grown in the past.
Yeah, it's getting really big. It's affordable to do as well. The motors are only V6. Cheap to buy. You can put a wrecker engine in and go and have some fun. Obviously spend the more money to go up the front, but you just want to have some fun. They're nice and cheap.
And rubber, they run race rubber, so you can get that second hand? Yeah,
they run race rubber. You can buy second hand stuff off the people that are buying the new stuff. That's, they're your benefit sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's affordable to get. You can budget as much as you like.
That's sort of like all motor racing though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, how did you get into Speedway from the beginning, like right at the start? Well,
my parents raced from before I was born, super sedans, grew up at Nyora Speedway. My dad president there with Bob Hickson, Daryl Hickson, they were all there. So that's sort of how I got into it. They've been into it for 30 plus years. So yeah, that's how I sort of come about and jumped into a 1200 junior and progressed from there.
So after the 1200 junior, you did go straight to the commentary side of things, or did you go into the
I
committee?
done commentary for, well, when I was a kid. When Keith White was back at Nyora, I was probably only 5 or 6 and I was doing commentary, and then I just love doing it. It excites me and I like to excite the fans.
Marcus is one of the best, or one of the most exciting commentators and best commentators that we have. It's always exciting to hear you call a race, and we had someone down from Warrnambool, last weekend as a guest commentator, and he was just shocked at how Marcus could just continuously commentate for the whole race and make it exciting for the fans at home.
Yeah, it's exciting to do. I like doing it, and I get good recognition from the fans that I'm doing a good job, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah. So what sort of things do you do for the Nyora committee? And
well, there's a fair bit behind the scenes. We've got a lot of volunteers that people don't sort of notice that are doing a lot at the track. You know, mowing, we're setting up new buildings, you know, graders and water trucks. We've got heaps of stuff happening. You know, Michael Ardley, he's the president. You know, got Mark Miles, he's the vice president. They do a lot behind the scenes. Bruce Bullard, he's another one as well. There's just heaps of people that do a lot of stuff for the club.
So if you want to get involved and you can't afford a race car, how do you get involved in the committee?
Well, you can become a member. You can come to the meetings. Everyone's invited to the committee meetings. You could always come down and say what your piece and what you'd like to see happen. Also, if you want to get into racing, Nyra's doing a driver education car next year that for people that want to get into standard saloons, we've got a car there they can have a drive of.
That's a big thing. That's a bit like what Random Panda are doing with their unlimited sedan.
That's right, yeah.
So back to the Demolition Derby. What sort of cars are entering?
Oh, there's a huge range. We've got XF Utes. I think we've got a Valiant out there as well, a nice old one. It's going to be sad to see that get wrecked. Got some new ones, Commodores, VTs. Got AU wagons. There's just going to be a big range. I think there's even a couple of charades out there as well, little cars. So yeah, it's a big range of cars that are going to get destroyed.
What are you guys expecting to win? Because I'm sure you see them and you expect something to win, like something's tough, like a...
The Utes are tough, and that Valiant's going to be very tough to beat. They're built solid, that's for sure.
Well, thank you, Marcus, for coming in. And make sure you head down to Nyora Raceway this weekend for the Demolition Derby and the car drop. We'll be back on Channel 31 right after this. Cool. So we're going to count down and go.
You're in a break now.
Yeah.
You're in a break now. So whatever you were supposed to do in this break.
Okay. So we'll probably go right back into it. So welcome back to In Pit Lane. And there's been a big story recently in the LMP3s, and Brett has been working out all week on it. So, yeah.
Shortage of very pretty race cars on display and some damn good racing. But despite this, the series really hasn't managed to grow quite as quickly as organisers might have hoped for. Last weekend's round at Sandown attracted only 12 cars, but the class is already looking to the future with the announcement that from 2019 the series will be open to include the international LMP3 cars.
The idea of introducing LMP3 is an extension of what we've always done. We've always had an intention to have our series become the starting point for people entering motorsport with modern slicks, modern cars, lightweight, aero and so on. So these are the latest technology cars, and they're a great thing for an old driver to drive, and they're a great thing for a young driver to drive, especially those who are trying to progress their way to a future. So when we, as the drivers of the series, took over the series, we bought the series, we're all shareholders and directors, we're able now to dictate the future. And so the best evidence of our intentions is the incorporation of European type CN cars in the series. And the next step was, because people approached us, they said, can we come and race LMP3 in your series? And we're already racing LMP3 in Asia, can we do it here in Australia too? Now that's just logical. So that's what we've been working for now for several years. We started having discussions with CAMS a year ago. We reached agreement in principle well over 6 months ago. and it became appropriate because of the intention to launch actual cars in the category next year, that we give people good notice and warning.
LMP3 has been quite the success, not just in Europe but also across Asia and now in the US as well. The Le Mans style races are powered by a Nissan supplied V8 engine pumping out a lazy 420 brake horsepower designed to last at least 50 hours between rebuilds. The cars are cost capped at €206,000. That's just under 327,000 Australian dollars. But a quick look at the sort of money invested in something like the Australian GT Championship, and it's clear that there's plenty of people out there willing to spend that sort of money for the sort of modern, low-maintenance motorsport that a class like LMP3 can provide.
It's not our intention actually to move people across from GT racing to prototype racing. It's not our intention at all. But we know it's already happened. So we've been told that several GT drivers are actually racing in the Asia Le Mans series. And I've been told names and so on, and I've had one or two speak to me. However, to me, what we're really trying to do is not get a mature age driver who's got a lot of money and wants to either expand what they're doing or move across to something else. That's not our intention. Our intention is to attract new drivers, the people who actually realise what LMP3 really is. And so what we're looking for is young drivers. We are looking for a whole spread of drivers, but not necessarily the affluent drivers who are already committing an enormous amount of money. We are trying to make this the most affordable form of racing as we currently are. Our entry fees are the lowest, and the cost of running these cars are the lowest, and they're relatively cheap to buy.
If there's one thing that Australian motorsport doesn't need right now, it's yet another new category. But LMP3 does seem to tick all the boxes for a modern success story. The cars are fast, reliable, relatively affordable, and a genuine international formula. Just whether there's room for it in Australia, only time will tell.
Yeah, an interesting story there to see how LMP3 is going to fit in the Australian motorsport scene with so many categories already. I'm going to have another quick chat to Marcus, and we're going to dissect the Nissan exiting supercars and Mustang entering at the same time. So what's your take on Nissan exiting?
Oh, it's interesting considering it started as Holden and Ford, then Nissan, Volvo. So it was only a matter of time before Nissan ended up sort of pulling the pin on the whole situation. It's good to see they're going to drive the Nissans a little bit longer and pursue with that, but it's going to be good to see the Mustangs out there that look like a little tough car.
Yeah, they will. Do you think the Kellys... Well, do you think it's wise that Todd Kelly stepped back from driving and that sort of helped their performance?
I think so, yeah, definitely 100%. Him stepping back and taking a bit more of a role behind the scenes has made them get a bit stronger as well as a group. Yeah.
So it's sort of like obviously relieved the pressure off Rick to do that, and we're seeing good results from him, probably the best we've seen since they started campaigning the Nissans. Why do you think Ford Australia would bring back the Mustang into supercars? Because you see so many of them on the road, there's no real need to market that car any more than they do.
I think they're running out of the FGX Falcons. They're not getting built anymore, so they've got to think of a different idea, and I think that Mustang was the only way to go. It was the only option.
Yeah, and then you've obviously got the ZB Commodore out there, which I think is a good thing. I know not a lot of people do think that it's that great, but I think it'll be good to see two non-Aussie cars out there. It'll be like the olden days of Touring Car Championship.
Yeah, they've definitely got to go back to the grassroots, and it's good that they've gone away from the V6 turbos. You know, it's keeping the V8. That's what everyone likes. They're V8 supercars. They're not V6 supercars. So it's good to see that they're broadening that a little bit with the Mustang. That's still V8, and they're going to keep that ZB, which that'll be competitive still against the Mustangs.
Yeah, it's really a noise thing, isn't it? It's like Formula One, so they don't go down that noise path of not having it. And I think it is the V8s that do attract the fan base and attract people to supercars. Thank you very much, Marcus, for coming in tonight and coming away from your family and borrowing you for a couple of nights.
No worries, thank you.
Tonight we've got, we had a rapper come in, Fate the Rapper. He sang his song Nightmare, and you can get his music on iTunes, Spotify and on Android Play. His tour starts on July 21st in Melbourne at the Laverton Bar, a Laundry Bar, Fitzroy. So yeah, we're going to end the show on him. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. It's really opened my eyes tonight to see how good a job Brett does and how good he does week in, week out, and he's done it for 21 years or however long the show's been going for. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you later.
Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Fate. Let's get it. Hey, brought up by the same roots. But me and my siblings, now we weren't raised under the same roof, and I'm so damn broken. I said I'm so damn broken. Overdosing, smoking on that real her life. But am I really learning my life? And do I really want to know how fast the game goes and go through efforts just to step up on your toes? And yes, I know that I gotta get hated. People judge me by my past, yeah, I gotta get hated. And if it's contrary from the Lord, then I guess I'm related. But I'm tired of waiting, so I'm making a deal with Satan. And whether that just cost you my soul. Maybe $1 million will fix me up as a whole. But I'm already there, so put me in that hole. 6 feet deep, I'm gone. If you see me on the track, take a step back now, trying to survive in the days of blackout, feeling like I'm empty, feeling like I'm lost. Does anybody know the cost to be the boss? If you see me on the track, take a step back now, trying to survive in every days of blackout, feeling like I'm empty, feeling like I'm lost. Does anybody know? As long as my little sister smiles, yeah, I said as long as she smiles, then I guess I'll stay a while. But if you knew all the facts, he wouldn't do me like that. Nobody knew me like that. And I'm crying on the floor because I'm feeling like I don't got the strength to carry on anymore. I got the people's support, but I'm not the people's champ. Will I live my dream, or will I just collapse? Will I stay off the drugs, or will I just relapse? I gotta prosper to the time, no time for a victory dance. Should I do it myself? Down on my knees, Lord, please let me find myself. He's a message to Satan. Whatever you're offering, faith the rapper is taking. But I'm trapped in a nightmare. Pentagram neck, cause everybody's there. So I write in the back with the shot. He's showing bars, he's involved, so I guess I'll catch your body. Take a step back now, trying to survive with every day's a blackout. Feeling like I'm empty, feeling like I'm lost. Does anybody know the cost to be the boss? If you see me on the track, take a step back now, trying to survive with every day's a blackout. Feeling like I'm empty, feeling like I'm lost. Does anybody know? It's supposed to move on from this crap. I got too much at stake. Devil in my ear trying to tell me everything's great, but it's not. I can't control myself, ready to do whatever it takes to apply the family's wealth. And that messes with me, but I ain't scared. Raise the damn Christians to tell the devil I'm right here. It's time to stand up and fight, but no one's fighting with me, so I'm fighting alone tonight. If you see me on the track, take a step back now, trying to survive it every day's a blackout. Feeling like I'm empty, feeling like I'm lost. Does anybody know the cost to be the boss? If you see me on the take a step back now, trying to survive it every day's a blackout. Feeling like I'm empty, feeling like I'm lost. Does anybody know the cost to be the boss?